In a world where nuclear war has begun, vampires fought back in super real 3D.
Man, is it a good time for the people that like cameras. The Red Komodo has dropped in price to $3,000, $2,995. And this is a 4-year-old camera, but it's a Red camera, guys. It's a Red camera for under $3,000. That's insane. And the Komodo is an absolute beautiful camera. Yes, it's a few years old. Is it still relevant? Yes, it's absolutely still amazingly relevant. If you can't produce what you need to for your client with that camera, then the camera is not the problem, okay? It's an absolutely powerful, beautiful beast of a camera. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, I have mostly been talking about the Canon R5 C the last couple of years. In particular, I have recently picked up even a second Canon R5 C, and I love those. The reason I bring that up is because I also have a Red Epic. I reference that on this channel as well, but it's a Red Epic Dragon X 6K camera system. This is a camera that came out in 2012, I think. I didn't buy it right when it came out. I had to buy it used because when it came out, the brain for it was $29,000. That's the body. Okay, $29,000 for that body. I bought mine used, and I bought my Canon R5 Cs new. The second one that I bought was open box. I still use the Red Epic Dragon. I've been using the Canon R5 C a bit more the past couple years and raving about just how adaptable it is, how it works great in low light situations. You have your dual native ISO of 800 and 3200. It's a full frame, so that can help in smaller places and stuff like that. There's a lot of things to love in the auto features, and sometimes I really do need autofocus for particular situations. There's a ton of things to love about the Canon R5 C, but I have said also the whole time, I keep making this comparison in all my videos about the Canon R5 C rivals my Red. It's crazy that this camera, this little body, for this price point, rivals my Red. And now we have a Red that is literally the same price as the Canon R5 C, which has now come down in price too. So the Canon R5 C had to come down in price, it came to $3,000, and now the Red Komodo has come and met it. And now you have the option between these things, or you could go get a Sony FX3, which, I don't know. I personally like having RAW and higher resolution than 4K. I take advantage of those things very often. And I think that the absolute best picture quality, and I've said this the whole time in all my videos, like the Canon R5 C rivals the Red. Sometimes I like the shots better from the Canon R5 C, but the whole, like the goal, the tipping point here is it as good as the Red? And like, yeah, I can get it there. Yeah, I can get it there. Oh, sometimes I get it here. But oh man, it's almost as good as the Red. Here's a Red, guys. Here's a Red camera for $3,000. It's 4 years old. And yes, there's a Red Komodo X, but it's double the price. So you could get like 2 of these Komodos. If you're trying to make money with your videos, is 2 cameras better than 1? Do you want to get one Canon R5 C and 1 Red Komodo? These are all realistic options on the table now for these price points. It's absolutely amazing. And yes, there's the Blackmagic Pixis, and I'll talk about that in a second. That's an amazing camera. It's an amazing camera, but we're going to stick with Red for a second. The Red look is just something that is undeniable. I have played with this footage for years now. I've made a lot of money with all these cameras. But the Red is always got that film look. It just always has it. It's like the natural look that it immediately starts to show as you begin to color grade it. The Canon system can look like that film theater look. It can do that, but you have to get it there. It's not hard, especially if you know what you're doing, but it's not where it, in my opinion, it's not where it naturally wants to go. Where it naturally wants to go is more of a very modern digital look. Beautiful, stunning, clear, crisp, robust. It's a beautiful image. It's the right look for particular projects. But if I was gonna go for the theater look, the sure shot for more consistency across all my shots is the Red. You might say, And I have seen people say that it's a 4-year-old camera. So why would people be that excited about it? Just get a new Blackmagic Pixis or something like that. Valid point to some extent. But let me tell you, I still, if I really need that look, use my Red Epic Dragon 6K system, Red Epic Dragon X. That's a DSMC original line. That's the first generation of that camera. It's old. You can buy these ridiculously low priced now on eBay, and I wouldn't recommend it at this point with these prices for these new cameras that come with warranties. And, you know, you get support and all that. You don't get any of that with the old cameras like that. But it's a beautiful camera. If it's low enough price, there's no doubt you can make a whole movie with it. It's amazing. I still use it. I still make a lot of money with it. It's so good. It's so good. The specs were so ahead of its time that it still got better specs on paper than the Komodo does. I mean, it has more frame rates. It's closer to the Komodo X. It's closer to it. It's not as good as the Komodo X, but it's closer to it. The other thing that's nice about the Epic Dragon X system, the old system, is that you had more compression options. I kind of liked that. I mean, I like the idea of the simplicity of the newer systems, but the compression options to have the flexibility of like a 5.1 compression, 8.1 compression, 7.1 compression. And you can really work that media card, so that's cool. But nonetheless, the ergonomics of the Komodo blow it away. That old thing is very heavy, consumes batteries crazy fast, and I do imagine that the Komodo is better, a little bit better in low light. I know the color science is updated, but you can still get IPP2 color space to work with in your color gradings on these older systems. You just choose it in your post-editing. You don't choose it in the camera, much like the Canon R5 C and C-Log 2. A lot of people don't realize that it has C-Log 2. If you film in RAW, you've got C-Log 2, and you can choose to go to C-Log 3. That's the way that is. So anyway, is it relevant? Yes, it's absolutely relevant. 4 years is nothing. I have had my Red Epic Dragon for 8 years, and it still blows my clients' minds away when they see themselves filmed with that thing. And I'm not using crazy expensive cinema glass per se. I mean, a lot of my lens kit is Rokinon primes, and I'm using old EF glass. You know, it's not, I've got the EF mount. Lenses are amazing. You should absolutely I think you should absolutely invest in lenses. My favorite lens I have right now is the newer Canon 24-70 RF to f2.8. It's my favorite lens because of how versatile it is and how amazing it looks. We're filming on it right now. Now, this isn't the best thing I can put together. This is me just popping off a little update real quick. But nonetheless, this camera lens is insanely good. It lives on one of my Canon R5 Cs at all times. It's always on one of the two Canon R5 Cs. It's that good. This lens would work on the Komodo. I do understand there's some potential possible warping that starts to happen, like that these RF lenses are specifically more so designed for Canon cameras, and there can be a little bit of distortion on the edges or something like that. Maybe the autofocus isn't going to work as good because the autofocus system in the Canons is more advanced than the way that the autofocus system behaves in the Komodo. But look, if you get a Komodo, it's a more manual experience through and through. And for controlled situations, it's going to consistently shine. I think the consistency of shots that you get with a Red that continually look great and have that film quality, it's just so consistent. It's the most consistent camera system that I have is the Red. So I think it's insane that it came down to this price. Now, in closing, what I just want to talk about real quick is, what does this mean for Red and cameras in general? And that Red has been a badge of honor. Remember when I first got into cameras, that would be like a pinnacle point to own a Red camera, and I achieved it. And it was still very expensive. It wasn't as expensive as it was at launch, but I still spent over $20,000 to get into my Red camera system at the time. And I remember feeling like I've, arrived. Like it was a real big deal to finally get a Red camera. Well, yes, Nikon has recently purchased it, and yes, that obviously has a lot to do with these price drops and the way things are being approached. Would Red have done this without Nikon being involved? I don't know. The camera market's gotten a lot more competitive. Nikon puts a question mark on the Red systems as to, will they really keep making RF mounts into the future, and how will those not be as powerful as using Nikon if you've invested in RF lenses. There's a lot of questions with that. But when you have cameras like the one that I'm talking about, I keep pointing back at, yeah, that's the Red Epic. It is in the shot. It's up there. It's the Red Epic Dragon up there. When you have a camera that lasts, I'm still using this thing, right? It was built in 2012. That's 13 years old, okay? We've reached diminished returns on how much better each camera system gets. You're kind of just spinning your wheels a bit. I'm not saying that the newest cameras don't continually offer new things that are exciting, but we're at this point where it's just been hard for me to make major upgrades, because we've hit this level of quality that's just unreal at these price points. And so if this is the case, what does the Red name really mean? This used to be something that if you pulled that out, a client would be like, whoa, well, I see why we're paying what we're paying. That will be gone, in my opinion, over the next, 2 years from now. Not yet. That, the client doesn't necessarily know that the price drop just happened. But as these become more common, it's a level playing field now for what Sony and Canon, Panasonic's now coming in with their, I don't remember which camera it is, to be honest with you. I'm not buying a camera right now. I know that they've got a crazy good camera. I know the rolling shutter sucks. But everything else about it looks great. It's the SR1 or whatever. You guys are going to kill me for that. But whatever. It's not my thing, right? It's beautiful. Pixis is amazing, cool. I've looked at all the footage. At the end of the day, I haven't seen an image that compels me that I feel like Blackmagic's look is better than Red. I just don't, I'm not seeing it. I see amazing stuff. I see stuff that beats people that shoot on Red, but when it comes to people that really know what they're doing against people that really know what they're doing with both cameras, I always think that the Red edges it out a bit. They do have a mojo to their sensor. Maybe I'm biased, but I have wanted to like the Canon's image quality officially better than Red, and I've never been able to bring myself to say that because it's not true. So I haven't said it. I said I can rival it, and sometimes I can beat it. But the consistency that's there with the Red is undeniable. You can charge more for having a Red. That's been the case. You are taken more seriously when you pull out a Red camera. Now, that doesn't mean, you could have a Red Komodo and then you could have a more expensive Canon or Sony camera. And for a lot of clients, at least where I live, Tallahassee, Florida, is where I have my business, roughcutproductions.com, if you want to check it out. Well, no one around here, when I pull out a Red, it's gotten enough of a name to this point. At first, I didn't even know what it was. What is that, a Red? Now they know what it is, and they are like, wow, well, I get why I'm paying that. But that's going to leave. So now you really have this level playing field where there's not this additional price that you're going to be able to charge for having a particular camera. I mean, what camera, other than an ARRI, or ARRI, depending on how you want to pronounce it, that's kind of the last one. Because unless you're working in a bigger city and they know cameras, if you're working for a production company that does films or, really gets hired out through union work and stuff, and that's really a whole other gamut. I've got to be honest that I'm not in. I'm an independent owner of a video production company in Tallahassee, Florida. It's a very transit. We've got 4 colleges and stuff, but this is not a big city, okay? It's a decent sized city. It's great for what I do, but it's not the kind of work where I'm going and working for other people that are asking what camera I'm using. I only get asked that when crews come through that are looking for camera people and I go help film. That's when they ask. And that's where it does matter, but it's just, we're talking about 5% of my annual income at best. So that premium that was associated with Red has now been democratized, and that's going to be that way more and more every year that these price points exist. So it really is an even playing field, and I'm kind of curious to see where people land with their camera choices and if the Red truly still continues to prove itself with the image quality that it does produce. We will see. If you're buying a new camera, buy whatever you want. The only thing that the Komodo X really has, those frame rates are nice and it's amazing, but to get 2 Red Komodos, if I was starting a production company, is more enticing to me personally, because having multiple cameras really opens some doors. It really does. You can do a lot more with 2 cameras, at least I've found for me. Now, if I was just somebody a run and gun hire, I get getting the best single camera, but that's not what I do. I do full production start to finish for all kinds of documentary work and, product videos and music videos. And I like to have 2 cameras running, even if I'm the only person operating, having a second camera at these higher resolutions that's on a tripod saves my ass, but also gives me a way more dynamic edit to work with. So it's multiple cameras is amazing. You should really consider it. Again, the R5 C and its auto features really might be the right choice for you, and 8K resolution is amazing. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't still get a Canon R5 C or 2 R5 Cs over the Komodo. I don't know. In fact, me personally, what I'd probably do is I'd probably get one of each. And that's what because it's just too fun. If you really like this stuff, it's really fun to have both, because you're gonna find different situations for both. Then you're ready for anything, and you can get them to match pretty damn well. I mean, so that's probably what I would do. I would get a Red Komodo and a Canon R5 C, and I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying at these price points, budget-wise, if I was building a business, that's what I'd do. All right, you guys take care and be excited, man. This is like a crazy, it's just unreal, the times that we are living in. If you're working with cameras and production work and making your own video, I mean, it's just, you're there, guys. You know, no longer can you say that the camera is not good enough, okay? It's like the cameras are plenty good, and just focus on learning more about your lighting and compositions and editing and storytelling. All right, take care, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.